Judgment to protect Paul Downton. 245 for 5, Gooch 114 and Pringle 51. A splendid partnership between those two. And the bowling figures for India dominated by Chetan Sharma, 4 for 48. From 20 overs, the other wicket taker Maninder Singh, 26 overs, 12 maidens and 1 for 44. A report that the second day of the opening Cornhill Test match at Lord's was played in blistering, blazing sunshine. I'm afraid, in fact, it was dull and gloomy at the start, with enough rain falling to cause a half-hour delay. England overnight with 245 for 5. Play began half an hour late when umpires Shepherd and Palmer had made their decision. We joined play with the second ball of the second over. It's Chetan Sharma coming in. The man who made the half-century yesterday, Derek Pringle, is taking strike, and 1 run has been added to the overnight total.
All along the ground, but not a very nice feeling for the quick bowler to see the ball off the edge and through the legs of your third slip. And it's Kapil Dev, the Indian captain, and John Embury. Oh, again, Kapil Dev outside the off stump. He's had so many England batsmen playing and missing.
Yes, well, if you move the ball away from the bat, you do make people play and miss. And again, it was a very fine delivery. And John Embury did everything to try and get out there, but unfortunately for Kapil Dev, it just missed the edge of the bat again.
Well, I suppose you could technically say that was a catch, but I think Shrikant at short square leg was just unlucky to be in the way. His reaction was rapid after it had hit him, but really middled by John Embury. Chetan Sharma to Pringle. Well, that was a miscue. Came right off the top, the toe of the bat.
Well, you're not stood in that position to catch the missing hook. You're probably half getting out of the way, and suddenly just realised it bobbed up there, but you're obviously not standing there for that shot. But I think 1 or 2 of these bounces have been pretty gentle, and even with 2 men set for them, I think Derek Pringle might be just tempted to have a little dart.
And that's one. And yet another appeal from Chetan Sharma. And this time, it's umpire David Shepherd who's not impressed. He's cutting away towards leg stump and past. It's in the air. It's dropped. Roger BINNY.
Yes, it only went very steady indeed. Slightly mistimed drive. Possibly the fielder didn't sight it very quickly against the background. It never really got forward, but still got his hands to it, and really he wasn't those catching. But that's how it's gone for Kapil Dev throughout this innings so far.
Pringle's still there, 62 not.
Well caught. That was a real cracker. Got it off the meat of the bat. And Jimmy Amarnath snapped it up there at gully. And John Embury is gone. The 6th wicket down.
And John Embury has middled this one well enough. He's smacked it straight at Amarnath. If he'd had half a chance, he might have got out the way, but it was self-protection as much as anything made him cling on to it. I think these seamers are going to cause England a little bit of trouble now.
Paul Downton is off the mark. Batsmen are well rugged up and sweated. The photographer isn't short on skiing gear. There either was a change denoted by Kapil Dev taking the second sweater. It's going to be Roger BINNY. Roger Binney mightn't have been having such a good match so far. He's made up for it there by knocking over England's second top scorer, Derek Pringle, for 63. That's a welcome sight for the Indian fielders.
Yes, and what a ball. What a ball. That's pitched middle and knocked the off out. He's turned Derek Pringle round. And, well, I had a feeling a few minutes ago the seamers might still get quite a lot out of this pitch here this morning, and that was certainly proof of that. Seemed to do really quite a lot that down the hill.
Richard Ellison is the new batsman, 269 for 7. Either an appeal for OBW or for caught behind.
Well, another demonstration of this pitcher's being better to bowl on. That's really gone whistling through above waist height of the keeper. A brilliant leave, if you like. I don't quite know how he knew it was going to climb over the middle.
And he's given him out, not very far forward. Downton goes, very last ball before lunch, and Chetan Sharma has taken 5 wickets in the innings for the second time in a test match, and a very fine performance from him.
And at long last, he's got that LBW he's been looking for. Paul Downton just not quite stretching forward to a very straight ball, hit below the roll of the knee, and the ball really onto him before that front foot went forward.
That was a great breakthrough for India just before the luncheon interval. Chetan Sharma getting Downton for 5, Ellison not out naught, and Dilly to come in immediately after the break. 271 for 8 at lunch on the second day of this Cornhill Test match, and India took all the honours of that first session. It was curtailed by the half an hour lost because of light rain at the start, and yet India managed to keep England down to just 26, and they took 3 wickets as well, so you could say that Kapil Dev's side took all the honours of the first hour and a half on this second day. We pick up play now after lunch in the third over.
Graham Dilly, the batsman, and Roger Binney bowling. Oh, handsome. And that's a reminder that when he did play that innings, that long partnership with both of them, Graham Dilly is by no means the blocker at the other end. He played some crashing shots, and that's proof that those talents haven't left him. Well, that's what Roger Binney and Kapil Dev are expecting from Graham Dilly. Still, in the meantime, is Chetan Sharma to Ellison. Oh, dropped him. Well, that was a bit of rapid cricket. Very useful ball.
Well, that's certainly carried through pretty quick to say what an easy place wicket it was. He hurried the batsman, and in fact the keeper was a bit late in getting across as well. And not the sort of delivery you really expect on this type of wicket.
Nicely played. Astonishing game, this cricket. One moment you can be all at sea, and next ball play a perfect leg glance. Roger Binney. Well caught. Super catch. Kapil Dev. And so persevering outside the off stump of these two left-handers has provided the reward for Roger Binney. Richard Ellison caught by Kapil Dev at second slip.
Well, another very, very fine catch indeed. Way to his left and low, and considering how cold it is out there and the fingers must be a bit cold, the Indians have fielded it pretty well. The general fielding and the slip fielding has been very good indeed.
Couple of slips, a gully, BINNY to Edmonds. Oh, in the air. A little bravado from Edmonds. Off the mark, first ball. And chip over wicket.
Paul just probably stopping a little bit here, and it just clearing the fielder. He's got his hands stretched out, but just that foot or so away.
Quite a few people thinking about the start of the Indian innings, the ground staff, the roller ready. Often a fatal sight for the fielding side because they think it's all over. But there are two batsmen of reasonable talent out there. So much for the roller.
Well, again, a little bit of extra bounce there, and Philip Edmonds going for the square cut. Got a top edge, so at least the ball's getting a little bit higher than yesterday. You can see that got just above waist high and clearing the top of slip quite comfortably.
Yes, a third wicket for Roger BINNY. That was wide. Playing to Dilly's possible strength outside the off stump, but really very wide indeed.
That's a fine performance from the Indian bowlers and fielders to bowl out England for just 294. The Englishmen, I suppose, will be happy to have got that far after the middle order collapse. The fine partnership between Gooch and Pringle getting them on the way, and today Ellison getting into double figures, but Dilly failing to do so, and Edmonds 7 not out. The bowlers for India were dominated by Chetan Sharma, 5 for 64 from 32 overs and 10 maidens, 3 wickets to Roger BINNY. Thought Kapildev could have kept himself on, but unselfishly gave BINNY the chance to pick up wickets towards the end. Kapildev had 1, BINNY 3, and Maninder Singh, the left-arm spinner, bowled in splendid style with very cold fingers, 30 overs, 15 maidens, and 1 for 45. We were saying towards the end of the innings that the ball was moving around quite a bit off the seam, and we were looking forward to what the English bowlers might do in the early part of the innings against Gavaskar, Srikanth, and the other Indian batsmen. We pick it up now in the third over. Just 1 run on the board. Graham Dilly is the bowler. He's coming in from the pavilion end, and taking strike is Chris Srikanth.
David Gower there, the England captain, sporting a black left eye. He required that, keeping wicket for Leicestershire in the last match. He dived down the leg side, got a hand to it, and it came back into that left eye. But he got a victim, he stumped Bilathi, so he'd be pretty happy.
Richard Ellison. Just about the perfectly pitched delivery.
First time that Richard Ellison has managed to draw the batsman into the stroke. They've been leaving the ball well outside off, but that was just about in the slot.
That's a fine stroke. I think Dilly lost his run on the way in. Looked to me as though he bowled it from or half a yard behind where he would normally be, and Srikanth took full advantage of it.
So a nice half volley around off stump. The line was good, but Srikanth lays about him when the ball's there to hit.
Beautiful stroke, all class.
The sun coming out, of course, hasn't done England any favours. It makes a huge difference to batting if the sun is out. And more runs. This Indian opening pair settling down pretty comfortably. Beat once or twice, but the runs coming. This very attacking field.
Four more. Scott doesn't waste too much. That's loose. Good catch. Getting it was. That fourth slip. Srikanth is gone. What a nice birthday present from Mike Gatting. 29 today, and the catch that takes the first wicket for England.
Well, Graham Dilley's got one on target there. It was straight enough to get Srikanth playing. He has swung the ball away, so that's good bowling.
Mohinder Amarnath comes out to join Gavaskar.
Yeah, that's good bowling. Pitch it right up. Actually, it's right in the block hole. It's yorked him. It's beaten the outside of the bat as well.
Oh, that was very sharp fielding by Phil Edmonds. The ball went to his left hand. Phil Edmonds left-handed, of course.
Yes, a fine piece of fielding there. No helmet for Phil Edmonds, but he's pretty brave in there, and he threw that ball. It was still in the air, and probably the batsman would just about have got away with the decision if it had hit. But fine piece of fielding.
Oh, that was marvellously bowled by Graham Dilley. Tall man whacks the ball into the pitch. Gets movement off the seam.
Well, certainly plenty of movement there off the seam, and at the pace that Graham Dilley bowls it, really that cut him in two and went straight over the top of the stumps.
Ellison to Gavaskar. Didn't carry. John Embury, the man at third slip.
Again, you see that little bit of movement out off the seam, very good delivery, almost catching the shoulder of the bat, but still going down a couple of feet short of the slip fielders.
There you see the merit. Richard Ellison keeping the ball well up to the bat, giving it time to swing.
Yeah, another very fine delivery there. That set up an off stump and really swinging away beautifully. Certainly Richard Ellison this over causing quite a few problems there for Sunil Gavaskar. 6 overs at the moment, 2 maidens, 0 for 10. It's pretty good bowling.
So it's the 15th over of the innings. An early spell for John Embury. Embury to Amarnath. No stroke played, but it was a brilliant catch.
Yes, it certainly was, because in his wrong hand, his right hand, and he is left-handed. But the more interesting thing was there was certainly a little bit of turn there for John Embury. David Gower now is bringing Phil Edmonds on at the other end, so whilst everything the seamers are moving it around, he's tend to spin at both ends.
Oh, beautifully played. Up the hill there, stopped on the slope. Beautifully played by SUNIL GAVASKAR, body well over the ball.
Yeah, it's a fine shot this. He got right over the top of it, head down, and pushed it away through mid-wicket for 3 runs.
That's a good shot. Indian batsman definitely plays spin well.
Well, those clouds I was talking about got a bit of juice in them as well. Well, they should put that on video for Graham Dilley. Let him see that that is the line. Troubles the batsman most. Line and the pace. 3 more runs were added to take the total along to 45 for 1. And then heavy rain swept across the ground. The players had to race for the pavilion, and 1 hour in all was lost. The umpires decided, under the playing conditions, that play would continue until 7 o'clock. We pick it up now in the 2nd over after the players have returned to the field. 1 leg bye has been added to the score. The bowler is Graham Dilley, and he's bowling to Mahinda Ramanath.
Full toss. Must be 4. Graham Dilley will remember from his previous Test experience that Test match batsmen very rarely miss the opportunity to put away a full toss on leg stump. That's a good line. Persuaded Ramanath to play the stroke in spite of the 4 slips in the gully. Just that late movement. At last. Contact and entertainment.
Well, Ramanath's tried to play this shot 3 or 4 times and never made contact, and Graham Dilley just tried him out again, but this time he managed to middle it nicely and just knocked it past cover point without any trouble.
Half shout. No real conviction from Dilley. The shout started behind the stumps. And well down leg side. 14 overs, 1 for 35. It's Richard Ellison to continue from the nursery end. Oh, good effort. It'll go down as a drop catch, but that was a very fine effort. That really went quickly. A slashing shot outside off stump by Mahinda Ramanath.
Yes, it was short, and he really gave it everything there, and well wide of the fielder, and really I think we put down as a pretty good stop.
It was John Embury. One of those, sometimes when they stick, then you must feel absolutely marvellous, but it was flying past John Embury. Oh, that's well bowled. Genuine stroke from Sunil Gavaskar.
This was a fine delivery. There've not been many better than that ball this match. It was round about the off stick, and it went like a big leg break, and not many people get it past Sunil Gavaskar when he's nicely set.
I've seen a bit of that. Batsman playing and missing. Movement for the bowler outside the off stump.
change from the nursery end. Derek Pringle. So it might just have been missing leg stump, but it wasn't far away. Just did enough to beat the inside edge of the forward stroke. Bad bounce there for Robinson. Two more to Amarnath.
Two England selectors there. Fred Titmus, pipe smoking. Phil Sharp alongside.
Embury to Amarnath. Ellison just out of his reach, and it'll race away down to the boundary. It was well bowled by Embury. Gave it a little bit of air, and Amarnath was down, beaten in the flight. Just managed to chip it fractionally over Ellison's fingers. 12 more runs added to take the Indian total at the close of play up to 83 for 1. Gavaskar 30 not out, and Mahindra Amarnath 27. Srikanth the man out for 20, and he fell to Dilly, who had 1 for 35 in 14 overs. Ellison bowled very well, 16 overs for 16 runs, and beat the bat on many occasions. Embury 10 overs for 12. Plenty of spin there for both Embury and Edmonds. And Pringle 7 overs, 3 maidens, no wicket for 8. Well, in all, 132 runs were scored in 83 overs in the day. It was shortened by half an hour. Don't forget we had the hour added on at the end. India 83 for 1, 211 runs behind. So Gavaskar